Today's another WRAL weather alert day. We have a heat advisory and a risk for severe storm. I'll show you when the storms start and our next chance for record heat.
Crowds take over. Raleigh police say thousands of people gathered over the weekend, causing chaos in the city. What we're learning about the fights and shootings as Raleigh police search for the people responsible. Deadly bus crash. A man is facing involuntary manslaughter charges after crashing into a shuttle bus and killing a couple. What else we're learning about the crash and the charges that man is facing.
Today is WRAL Weather Alert Day. Here we go again. We have the chance of severe storms and a high heat index. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Ken Smith. We so appreciate your time. Now, let's get right to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, the WRAL Severe Weather Center, with a look at when the storms could start and the areas most at risk. Elizabeth.
So here's a look at our severe weather threat, and you'll notice up here to the north in yellow, that's where our level 2 risk is. Level 2 risk obviously just up from a level 1. It's a small portion of our viewing area, but that's where we could see maybe more chances for severe storms. It's likely to just be wind damage, but that means some trees down, and that would be the main focus. Now, certainly we could have trees down in any part of the viewing area. Yesterday it was a level 1 risk, and we had a cluster of wind damage reports between Sanford and Southern Pines. And again, that could set up really in any part of the viewing area again this afternoon. Let's take a look at Futurecast and talk about where we're headed with this. And we're looking at, of course, at the chances of rain going up as we get into mid to late afternoon. Now, nothing happening on radar just now, but during the evening commute, we will likely have some scattered storms, and our best chance will be maybe closer to 8 or 9, and then it begins to taper off closer to midnight. So that's going to be our best chance for today. And then we also have a heat index likely. WRAL weather alert day for heat. We have a heat advisory that's in effect from the Triangle area southward, likely to be feeling more like 105 this afternoon in the Triangle and up to 107 to 109 in Fayetteville. A little bit of a breeze here over downtown Raleigh, but very hazy, very warm. It's already 85 with a dew point up to 73. So that is a very high dew point. We'll see highs this afternoon in the upper 90s and no real break from the heat in our forecast. As a matter of fact, tomorrow will also be a WRAL weather alert day for a chance for thunderstorms, and we'll walk through the timeline for Tuesday coming up.
Well, Elizabeth, of course, you can stay on top of changing weather conditions all across the viewing area. If you haven't already, now is a great time to download the WRAL weather app. Turn on those notifications for customized weather alerts.
Raleigh city leaders are grappling with ways to combat violent incidents involving large crowds. Over the weekend, thousands of young people gathered on Glenwood South, prompting a massive police response. WRAL's Heidi Kirk spoke with business owners in that area. Heidi, what are they telling you about the violence?
Well, Renee, none of the business owners who we talked to within the last couple hours wanted to go on camera, as many of them are just still grappling with this. But what they say is this kind of behavior down here on Glenwood South completely is unacceptable. In fact, one business right here where we're standing was actually hit by gunfire. I mean, this really goes to show just how bad it got here. Now, go ahead and take a look at this video. This is video we've been showing you over the last couple of days. You're going to see what it looked like here in Glenwood South. Just a massive response. Now, the owner of Milk Bar just within the last hour or so said that he was actually down here himself, really watching that chaos unfold. He said he shut the door to his bar after he heard that gunfire erupt. This is something that he's never had to do before. Others say they actually closed their bars entirely at that time. Now, again, something that many of these folks have never done. They described the crowd as being filled with thousands of young people, which is a very different crowd than normal. They say normally they expect 4th of July weekend to be one of the larger weekends down here, but it was a little bit of a different crowd than they were expecting, even this size. Again, you know, a number of people they described as even looking as if they were under 18 or so. And now there are dozens of charges associated with this. Some of those first court appearances are going to be happening this afternoon. It's something that we will stay on top of. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Heidi, thank you. Raleigh police are also investigating after tens of thousands of dollars worth of product was stolen from a vape store on Capitol Boulevard. This surveillance video shows the break-in from around 2 a.m. The store owner tells WRAL $30,000 worth of goods was taken. Police say they have yet to make an arrest.
A 70-year-old man faces numerous charges following a deadly crash involving a fast-parked shuttle bus. Raleigh police say this incident happened Saturday around 3 in the afternoon. Glenwood Avenue and Lumley Road is where this all happened. Officers say Barry Hayes ran a red light, crashed into the shuttle bus, causing it to roll and flip. Scott and Jennifer Christopherson were on that bus and died. Their child is recovering at a hospital here in Raleigh. The driver of the shuttle bus was not hurt. In another incident, though, a driver is recovering this noon. Raleigh police responding to a single car crash this morning on Lake Wheeler Road. This happened near Kirkland Road, just south of I-40 around 3 o'clock this morning. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as officers investigated. Police say the woman who was driving is expected to recover.
Today, President Trump is expected to travel to Turkey for the NATO summit. He's expected to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to make a renewed push to end the war in Ukraine. This comes after a wild holiday filled with patriotism, politics, and a weather scare. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez was there for all of it.
This morning, President Trump getting ready for a high-stakes NATO summit in Turkey, a potentially pivotal moment for the wars in Iran and Ukraine. Over the weekend, President Trump speaking to both Russia's Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. But complicating peace efforts, a new round of deadly Russian strikes on Ukraine's capital overnight. The summit will also test the U.S.'s relationship with European allies. The president has long railed against them for not spending enough, but is increasingly frustrated with NATO's lack of support for the Iran war. Trump saying this last month.
I just want their loyalty. We don't need their money. We don't need anything.
It all comes as he's facing new fallout from his wide-ranging speech celebrating America's 250th birthday. A dress that veered from patriotism
This is only the dawn of the golden age of America.
to politics.
America will never be a communist country. Won't happen.
His speech was delayed after a storm threat prompted authorities to evacuate the National Mall for hours, telling people to rush to nearby federal buildings.
This is the National Museum of African American History and Culture. It reached capacity, and so hundreds of people, including many families, ended up waiting here outside for the storms to pass.
Eventually, the show did go on with this spectacular fireworks display around midnight. Another incident earlier in the day is also making headlines. Hundreds of masked white supremacists marched through the streets of the nation's capital, chanting and waving Confederate flags. This striking photo shows a woman surrounded by marchers on the D.C. Metro. The Interior Secretary responding.
Certainly, what they stand for is nothing that I could possibly agree with, but one of the foundational principles of the United States, which makes democracy messy, is free speech.
Experts say the current Ebola outbreak is harder to contain due to cuts to the U.S. Agency for International Development. The Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda are grappling with the third largest outbreak of Ebola on record. The CDC says there are more than 1,400 cases confirmed to date. The Trump administration dismantled the U.S. Agency for International Development last July. Infectious disease specialists say the outbreak, which has killed more than 400 people, has been made worse by those cuts to foreign aid.
Now to the FIFA World Cup. Belgium filing an appeal this morning after a decision by soccer's governing body allowing American striker Flo Balogun to play in tonight's match between the U.S. and Belgium. Now, the Royal Belgian Football Association says FIFA has not explained why Balogun is eligible to play in the round of 16 match tonight. FIFA rules say a player must be suspended for a game after getting a red card. Balogun was carded in the game against Bosnia last week for stepping on the back of an opponent's ankle. President Trump called FIFA's president yesterday asking for the suspension to be reviewed, then thanked the organization in a social media post for reversing it in what he calls a great injustice. The U.S. is in the final co-host country remaining in the World Cup. Now, that said, due to the threat of strong and severe storms that Elizabeth just mentioned earlier, City of Raleigh canceling tonight's scheduled watch party in Moore Square. But the city says it looks forward to hosting a watch party this Friday if the U.S. wins. Now, the DBAP will host a watch party for tonight's match. Gates open at 6:30. There will also be a watch party at Numerical Park in Zebulon. WRAL will have a crew at the watch party at Sports and Social at Fenton in Cary.
Prediction market betting companies such as Kalshi and Polymarket could soon win formal recognition in North Carolina. We would be the only state in the nation to do so. And it's raising concerns from some lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Giving these companies recognition will allow North Carolina to tax them. That gives the state a new revenue stream worth potentially millions a year. Critics, though, say it will undercut sports betting in the state. They also argue this would harm the college athletics departments that depend on sports betting revenue for competing in the new NIL era. The proposal was added to the state budget with little public debate before it passed last week. You can read more on this topic from our NC Capitol team on WRAL.com.
People from local community organizations plan to speak against the proposed Wake-Med-Atrium merger at today's Wake County Commissioners meeting. The proposal raising concerns about the future of healthcare costs. Some people say they're also worried because they don't feel like they were well informed before the merger happened.
A lot of things and a lot of things that are being done with this merger was kind of done secretively before it really came to the knowledge of the public. And so that was a concern for us as well. So now that we're knowledgeable of it, we are at least expressing our opinions and voicing our concerns with what's going to happen.
And as we've been reporting, commissioners have delayed voting on the deal until at least next month. Today's meeting will be at the Wake County Justice Center starting at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Next at noon, an aviation close call. What we're learning about the hard landing of a seaplane that got too close to a helicopter over New York's East River.
Also, New England storm damage. Thousands remain without power after severe weather pummeled that area of the Northeast. The stormy weather that can cause even more problems today.
And testosterone supplements debate. Why you might want to avoid over-the-counter hormone additives and their potential health risks.
Coming up next, see storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Oh my God. That was entirely too close.
Another close call involving two aircraft, this one involving a small plane and a helicopter. Video taken from a witness shows the near miss around noon yesterday. NBC's Valerie Castro shares video from inside the seaplane as it came in for a rough landing.
Frightening moments for passengers on a seaplane arriving in New York City. One person on board capturing this dramatic video as the plane made a hard landing in the city's East River.
The plane down on the water. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Video appearing to come from a nearby boat shows the moment the aircraft touched down on the water, bouncing multiple times before coming to a stop. The aircraft eventually tipping over on its side in the river between Manhattan and Brooklyn.
What's happened? Pontoon broke.
First responders rushing in by boat, rescuing all 7 passengers and the pilot. 2 of them said to have minor injuries but refusing medical treatment. A towboat later pulling the plane out of the area. The FAA writing in a statement the impact caused a wing strut to snap. That's the rod that connects the wings to the hull of the plane, helping to stabilize the wings and keep them from bending. Just last month, another seaplane became submerged further up the East River after a wave hit it during takeoff. The 2 people on that plane helped out of the water by a nearby boat. Experts say the seaplane in Sunday's incident, a Kodiak 100, has a solid safety record. And while rough landings like this are uncommon, they can happen if the aircraft hits a wave or choppy water.
Landing technique typically is determined to be the cause of most of these types of seaplane landing accidents.
And that was Valerie Castro reporting. Now, much of coastal New England at risk of more flooding today. Take a look at this damage in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Trees uprooted, traffic lights on the ground, and power poles snapped in half. A weather system that led to the water rescues and stranded vehicles in Pennsylvania late Sunday moving into the region. 60 million people are under flood watches from New Jersey up to southeastern Massachusetts. It's not known where the heaviest rainfall will happen, though. Urban areas like New York City are heightened risk for flash flooding.
Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center this noon. We have a new alert coming out of Nash County where customers of the northern Nash Water District may experience low water pressure, they say, in portions of the distribution system because of an issue affecting the district's water supplier. Now, they're not really clarifying what that issue is, but although water system pressure may not have fallen below the level considered safe, they say a precautionary boil water advisory is being issued out of an abundance of caution. Periods of low or no water pressure can increase the risk that contaminates many enter the water distribution sensor. So again, this is customers of the Northern Nash Water District that may be experiencing this. Of course, they say that this advisory will remain in effect until they're able to do more testing.
Laura, thanks for that. Record highs have fallen in recent days, but you might be surprised to know that we are actually at our farthest point from the sun. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains the reasons for the seasons in today's Ask the Meteorologist.
Yeah, it may have felt like we've been on the surface of the sun over the past few days, but yeah, we're at our farthest point. Now, our orbit around the sun is not a perfect circle, which is why we bring that up. It's an ellipse. So today, we are more than 94 million miles away from the sun in what's called aphelion. Now, in January, we're actually at our closest point, but even still, about 91.5 million miles away from the sun. So the reason for our season is the tilt of Earth's axis relative to the sun. So in the winter, the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. That means we see less daylight. In the summer, it's the complete opposite. The northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun and we get more daylight. Although the summer solstice was on June the 21st, we've lost about 6 minutes of daylight since, so hardly noticeable. But it's been the sixth warmest that stretch has been on record. Over the next 6 weeks, we'll lose more than an hour of daylight, but even still, we'll have more than 13.5 hours of daylight. Still plenty of time to get outside, and if you're a fan of the heat, enjoy it while it lasts.
Although, is anyone a fan of the heat? I mean, love summertime, but ooh, this intense heat, it just takes its toll on you, especially these cumulative days, Elizabeth.
Absolutely. Yeah, our bodies are susceptible and it just accumulates in terms of, when you might actually succumb to some of the heat-related illnesses. So you just have to kind of watch that. The more days you're exposed to it, the more likely you are to have, heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Looking at up to 106 or beyond in terms of the way it'll feel. And of course, then we have a few thunderstorms in the forecast as well for later on this afternoon. Same pattern as yesterday. We have a strong flow coming up out of the south, bringing us tropical air. So it's warm, it's humid. I shouldn't call it warm. It's just hot and humid and miserable and dangerously hot too. Of course, we talked at the beginning of the newscast about this level 2 risk, and that was updated about 8:30 this morning. So up near the Virginia line, level 2 just means that we'll have more widespread severe storms than we would in the area shaded in green, which is our level 1 risk. We had level 1 yesterday. We had a cluster of reports of wind damage between Sanford and Southern Pines, and then a few more isolated events. So certainly we have that possibility again. So let's jump into futurecast. Right now, nothing's happening, but by the time we get to 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we may end up with a few cells popping up. Notice that they are widely scattered. We're not looking at a big line of thunderstorms coming through necessarily, but we will see cells popping up here and there. It looks especially like dinner time, maybe the time when we have a bit more of them. Right now, we're looking at hazy sunshine across our area. This, of course, look at the Legislative Building. 73 is our temperature, and our dew point, and 85 is our temperature. So it's just very warm and muggy. So we check the heat index, and it varies in places. We go from 100 in Southern Pines to it feeling like 109 in Clinton and 104 in Goldsboro, 100 in South Hill, but it feels like 91 right now in the Triangle area. But you get the idea that it is starting to heat up very quickly. So we do have a heat advisory in effect from Durham and Raleigh southward. Again, that heat index likely to be up around as high as 109 in Fayetteville and Goldsboro, 107 Clinton, right around 105 in the Triangle area. So you want to take it easy. Again, this afternoon, it starts to get old. The pool's not a bad place to be, but definitely really hot otherwise. Highs will be in the upper 90s. The extreme heat bumps back to major for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I mean, it's still major, but it takes us out of extreme. That means we may not be under a heat advisory tomorrow. 91 is our normal high. We could be back up to 99 on Friday, which would tie the previous record for Friday. Again, both today and tomorrow are WRAL weather alert days, mainly for the chance of those afternoon storms, which could be strong to severe. So we'll walk through that. We'll talk about how much rain we could see total since we have rain in our forecast for almost all of the next 7 days.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks. Well, coming up on our new news this afternoon, merger pushback. Wake County commissioners may have to make a decision soon about the deal between WakeMed and Atrium. Today at 4, people share new concerns with county leaders.
Plus, stuck after the storm. Chantal destroyed homes and businesses a year ago today. Tonight at 6, WRAL investigates delays getting people back into their homes and the changes meant to help in future disasters.
A new Consumer Reports investigation found concerning levels of certain additives and contaminants in some widely sold foods and drinks. 5 on your side's Alex Littlehills takes a closer look at the findings.
They're pantry staples in many homes. Chips, pudding, soft drinks, processed food. Many use additives to add color, sweetness, texture, or preservation.
Companies in the U.S. are not required to disclose the amount of a specific additive or contaminant that's actually in their products.
And Consumer Reports says that matters because with some substances, the dose can make a difference, especially when people eat the same foods again and again. Consumer Reports partnered with Yuka, a product transparency app, to test 40 popular processed foods and drinks for food additives and contaminants linked to potential health concerns at certain exposure levels.
What we found is that 1/4 of the products we tested contained concerning amounts of additives.
Tonight on WRAL News at 6, the response to these findings, how they're being reviewed at the federal level, and the ingredient changes that some of the makers of these flag products plan to make, plus what you need to look for when you're shopping for these popular items. I'm Alex Littlehales, 5 on your side.
Sony says it will still make physical video game discs for the PlayStation after 2028, as long as the game comes out before then. Anything released after 2028 will be digital only. Last week, Sony announced it would discontinue physical discs, which generated a negative response from the gaming world. Sony has reportedly invested millions of dollars in repurposing its video game factory in Austria to make other products. CVS is recalling CVS Health medicated hemorrhoidal wipes over child safety concerns. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the product contains lidocaine and requires child-resistant packaging. The agency says the wipes could cause severe illness or death if ingested by small children. The packages have a CVS Health logo on them, along with a yellow heart. Rapid pain relief and medicated hemorrhoidal wipes are printed on the front of the packets and on the box.
The Powerball lottery expanding to the United Kingdom. The idea is to expand the number of players, allowing for faster growing jackpots. UK players will vie for the same jackpot as American players, but don't worry, players in the US will still pay $2 per ticket, and the odds of winning the jackpot will remain at 1 in 292 million. Now, the agreement first announced back in April, but lottery officials say the first tickets will be sold in the UK on July 21st. The first eligible drawing is set for July 22nd.
Serious heat and storm chances. We're under a WRAL weather alert day, and we'll have another one tomorrow. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner walks us through the main threats and when we're likely to see strong storms.
Also, checking your doctor. Why men are urged to make an appointment about low testosterone levels before going over the counter. And as we head to break, here are your winning lottery numbers on your screen right now. Well, today is a WRAL weather alert day. Our rough summer pattern brings another chance for high heat index and a chance for severe storms.
Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how hot it feels outside. Elizabeth.
It does, already up into the 90s right now. It feels like triple digits in some places. And we also have some storms that are just starting to develop. I just pulled up dual Doppler 5000 radar. None of it's in our viewing area, but it's worth noticing. If you're familiar with our pattern along the coast, we have what we call a sea breeze. breeze front. Now, the ocean temperature, of course, is cooler than the air temperature right now. And so as the air lifts here where it's really hot, the air that's sitting over the ocean that's cooler moves inland, and it creates this front with thunderstorms. And sometimes it moves all the way into our southern counties, and that could happen this afternoon. Also, just because we have a lot of heat and humidity, we're going to have the thunderstorms popping up in any part of the viewing area, but we could have that sea breeze moving a little farther inland today, especially because it's so hot. Better chance by the time we get to 3 to 5 o'clock, especially around dinner time and into the evening, we have that potential for those scattered storms. This is a look at our heat index forecast. It's likely to feel like 107 to 109 this afternoon. It's already feeling like triple digits right now around Goldsboro and Clinton and even around Rocky Mount. So it is coming and it's going to be another very hot day for us today. Right now it's 85 with a dew point of 73, and our actual temperature this afternoon, or right now, is 85 in Durham and Raleigh, but it's already 94 in Clinton and 90 in Roxborough. We're just lagging a little behind there in the triangle. We climb into the upper 90s for highs this afternoon. We're going to see another hot day tomorrow. We also have another level 1 risk of storms for tomorrow as well, so we'll walk through the timeline for the next couple of days coming up.
Elizabeth, thank you. UNC Health's emergency departments in Raleigh, Holly Springs, Chapel Hill, and Hillsborough saw about 50 heat-related patients over the weekend. Today, Wake County EMS is urging people to take extra caution since it's expected to be another extremely hot day. Wake EMS says you should limit your time outside between noon and 4 o'clock. If you do have to be out during that time, try to stay in the shade as much as possible. To prevent a trip to the ER, Wake EMS says you need to notice the signs and take action immediately.
When you start to experience any kind of dizziness, muscle cramps, excessive sweating or actual loss of sweating, those are medical emergencies. So seek some shelter, get in some shade, get inside.
Wake EMS says you should put cool, damp cloths on the back of your neck or armpits to help cool off quickly. If that doesn't help, call 911 immediately. Check WRAL.com for more guidance on how to prevent heat-related illnesses. You can track the rising temperatures with the WRAL weather app. It is free to download from your phone's app store. Make sure to turn on push notifications so you can get important weather alerts sent right to your home screen.
Raleigh police are investigating an overnight break-in at a vape shop. WRAL's Ali Calabar shows a surveillance video that the owners hope lead to an arrest.
Mid-City Tobacco and Vape is now open, but it's missing $30,000 worth of THCA product. That's according to one of the store owners. It was taken this morning. We want to take you to this surveillance video only on WRAL. It shows the moment the suspect throws a hammer at the glass and shatters it. He keeps bashing the hammer through the glass. You can see shards of it flying back at him. The suspect then jumps through the window. Shortly after, you're looking at this video that shows the man dragging a trash can out of the shop. The store owner says in that trash can was $30,000 worth of THCA product. This all happened around 2 this morning off Capitol Boulevard near East Millbrook Road. We spoke with a customer who says he was shocked to see a lot of the product inside missing.
When I went in there, I was like, I thought it was going out of business, to tell you the truth, because it was so empty in there.
Raleigh police say they're still working to identify the suspect and take that suspect into custody. We are following this story throughout the day on WRAL. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Calabar, WRAL News.
We're working to learn the identity of a teen who drowned at Jordan Lake. The 16-year-old boy was with his family at the lake on the 4th of July when he got into some trouble in the water. That was around 6:30 Saturday night. Several agencies helped with the 2-day search. Officials said around 10:30 last night they found the missing teen's body.
The Person County Board of Commissioners is holding a hearing to get feedback about a proposed $107 million school bond. That bond would fund major school construction projects. Tonight's meeting is at the county office building in Roxborough. It starts at 6 p.m.
All right, talking about testosterone, why supplements may not be effective and what men really need to know before taking them.
Plus, blueberry recall, how frozen blueberries from Publix are connected to an E. coli outbreak.
Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center. We are now hearing from the family members of the 2 victims, the 2 parents who were killed in that crash in Raleigh involving that airport shuttle. We also received this photo from the family. This is Jen and Scott Christopherson with their daughter here. They died in that crash that happened again on Saturday. This was on the I-540 ramp near Glenwood Avenue and Lumley Road, according to Raleigh police. It involved a fast park bus as the two were headed to the airport. We got this statement from the family. They say that we are devastated about the loss of our Scott and Jen. They lived a life full of adventure and showed kindness to everyone they met. The world is a lot less brighter. Of course, we will continue to follow this story that we first reported in the noon half hour. We will follow this story throughout the day.
Yeah, heart breaks for that family. Laura, thanks. Well, testosterone is one of the key hormones for men, and it's normal for levels to decrease with age, but you want to think twice before getting extra help from supplements. Other than aging, low testosterone levels could also be caused by chronic health conditions, including diabetes and obesity, but they can also cause other symptoms such as erectile dysfunction and fatigue. One Cleveland Clinic doctor says to avoid over-the-counter supplements if you've been diagnosed with low testosterone levels because they are not FDA approved for low testosterone.
We recommend a trial of hormone replacement when a man has both the symptoms and the low levels that are confirmed medically speaking.
Well, Dr. Bowles says to speak with your doctor before taking any supplements because you might not have to. Lifestyle changes such as regularly exercising and reducing stress could help your symptoms.
If you shop at Publix, check your freezer. The grocery chain is recalling its frozen Greenwise organic IQF blueberries after a dozen confirmed E. coli cases between May and June. The blueberries were sold on or before July 3rd in 8 stores, including here in North Carolina, and they have a best buy date of February 9th, 2028. You can return them to Publix for a refund.
All right, holiday storm flooding. The severe flooding and extreme heat being felt all across the July 4th weekend. What more than 60 million Americans are still facing right now.
And long-lasting love. The couple keeping their spark alive with the most important meal of the day. What the husband says is key to keeping a happy marriage.
Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center. We have a tragic update to report on this apartment fire we first reported on Saturday in Dunn. This is video from the scene. The Dunn fire chief just confirmed that a child died in this fire. They say that this was a child at around the age of 6 or 7 year old, a 6 or 7 year old boy who died from this large apartment fire that happened in Dunn. This was on East Pope Street that happened around 11 o'clock. Neighbors told WRAL News at the time that a firework went through a front window of the apartment and caught fire. At least one person was rescued from the building, but again, a 6 or 7 year old boy died from this fire.
Laura, thanks for that update. Well, dangerous heat, serious flooding, and heavy winds being felt all across the country. NBC's Erin McGoughlin shares video from the impacts felt all across the 4th of July holiday weekend.
Overnight, serious summer storms slamming the Northeast, threatening Monday morning commutes for millions of people.
Oh, my God.
After causing trouble at airports, with ground stops and mounting delays across the country. The big problem? Rain, and a lot of it. In New York City, officials warning heavy downpours could dump 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour. And that threat of rising waters extending outside the Big Apple, with 61 million people across 10 states waking up under a flood alert. The severe storms capping off a weekend of Independence Day celebrations, hampered by hazardous weather. Heavy rain and lightning delaying President Trump's speech on Saturday night, as well as the massive fireworks show on the National Mall. New York City's annual Macy's firework extravaganza not only had to be moved up to avoid oncoming storms, but the pyrotechnics ignited a brief blaze on the Brooklyn Bridge. Around the country, bolts of lightning joining fireworks to light up the night sky. All of it coming on the heels of a deadly summer scorcher, with at least 25 suspected heat-related deaths so far. In D.C., multiple people attending the Salute to America 250 taken away on stretchers and treated for apparent heat-related emergencies as millions nationwide tried to seek relief from the sun.
It's hot. Like the walk from my workplace to my car, terrible.
There's Aaron McLaughlin reporting. Now, right now, 61 million people are under flood alerts all across 10 states due to that severe storms.
Today marks 1 year since the remnants of Tropical Storm Chantal devastated parts of Durham and Orange counties. At least 6 people were killed in North Carolina. Flooding forced dozens of homeowners and business owners off their properties. Tonight on WRAL News at 5 and 6, WRAL investigates the lessons learned from Chantal and shows you the changes local emergency departments have made to help prepare for the next storm.
With that in mind, when we're in the severe weather department with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, people are still recovering from Chantal, but here we go again because we've got some severe storms rolling in.
We do. And Chantal, of course, was a tropical system, and it was the weirdest thing. It just, the boundary lined up right there in Durham and Orange County. And I think in Wake County, we didn't see very much rain at all. And, just a county over, it was 8 to 10 inches.
Incredible.
So tropical systems can be challenging, that's for sure. What we're looking at right now is a very typical summer pattern. What we call the sea breeze front that just started to pop up really just about 30 minutes ago right along the coast. And at about the same time, we have this little tiny cell that is now a severe thunderstorm in the middle of South Carolina. Well, what this tells us is the atmosphere has reached the temperature at which it's ready to start popping storms on the coast and then just to our south. So that means it's probably not too far behind. As a matter of fact, I would expect sometime between 2 and 3, we begin to see some cells developing. There's a cold front back to the west, and out ahead of that, we'll start to see some storms popping up in the mountains, and then those will begin to move in our direction. Similar pattern to what we saw yesterday. Right here from just west of Fayetteville, really kind of Hoke County, along a line through western Wake County toward Durham and southern Granville County, we had a narrow band where we had about 1.5 inches of rain. But notice all the places in the light green or brown saw very little rain. So this is the way things go with thunderstorms. A few people will see these nice heavy downpours. The flip side of that is those same folks may end up seeing some of the damage. Notice between Southern Pines and Sanford, we had 4 reports of wind damage. One of those north of Goldsboro, one south of Oxford. So it was isolated. Same story. Today, it may be that we'll have them more clustered around Warrenton, South Hill, Roanoke Rapids, Roxboro, with fewer of them here in green, which is our level 1 risk. Have that level 2 risk up near the Virginia line. But we'll roll through again, partly cloudy skies. Notice that around 3 o'clock, we're definitely seeing some cells popping up. The cold front back to the west that I was just showing you starts to fire up in the mountains, and then that may swing through a bit later. So 7, 8, 9 o'clock, we might see some of those storms beginning to move across our area. We also have a flood watch that's in effect just for Northampton and Mecklenburg County, Virginia. That is also in the same vicinity of where we could see some of those severe storms. Looking ahead to Tuesday, same story. Between 2 and 3, we have scattered storms that start to pop up in the same sort of pattern that we're seeing now. Because we have storms in the forecast today as well as Tuesday, and again getting into the weekend, we could see anywhere from 1/2 inch to another 1.5 inches of rain across our area, which is much needed. Of course, we continue to have extreme and extraordinary drought across most of our viewing area. Heat advisory, of course, in effect now at noon, and we're seeing that from the Triangle area southward. Oof, look at Clinton. Maybe there's something wrong with the sensor because it says 111 for the heat index already. It feels like 99 in Rocky Mount, 100 in South Hill, feels like 104 in Goldsboro, and 100 in Southern Pines. So it's already getting very hot out there. Should be close to 109 in Fayetteville, and we'll probably keep it around 105 in the Triangle area. Of course, so we continue to have hot temperatures. Highs are in the 90s all the way through the next 7 days. Today and tomorrow, both WRAL weather alert days for that chance of some of those severe storms. And of course, the heat, we're not likely to be under a heat advisory Tuesday, but it still stays very hot. And then we'll return to some of that extreme heat by Friday. That high of 99 will tie the previous record.
All right, appreciate that, Roll. Paving the way on the tennis court, the first black woman who made her mark nearly 70 years ago today, who carved the path for the tennis icons we see today. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Raleigh's mayor told WRAL the city is exploring a youth curfew after several incidents over the weekend. 9 people were hurt in separate but connected shooting tied to thousands of teens gathering over the weekend. The mayor says potential solutions will come up at tomorrow's city council meeting. Many of the people tied to the incidents over the weekend are due in court today.
2 parents died in a crash near RDU Airport. Raleigh police told us 2 people were on a fast park shuttle when a car crashed into the shuttle. They were husband and wife. The shuttle flipped over. Scott and Jennifer Christopherson died in that crash, and their young child went to the hospital with injuries. The other driver faces several charges, including involuntary manslaughter and driving without a license.
Well, people from local community organizations plan to speak against the proposed Wake Med HM merger at today's Wake County Commission meeting. The proposal raising concerns about the future of healthcare costs. Some people say they're also worried because they don't feel they were well informed about the merger before it began. The hospital system says the deal will improve care in the county. Commissioners have delayed voting on the deal until at least next month.
It's a routine date one couple has kept as a tradition for 80 years, never missing the most important meal of the day together. John and Jerry Carroll have breakfast at one local McDonald's just outside of Nashville every Friday morning. The couple had been married for almost 30 years by the time McDonald's started serving breakfast. And while some people switch up their order, John has kept his the same. He always gets an Egg McMuffin with sausage. And when asked about their long love story, here's what John had to say.
Treat your wife nice and try to help her all you can and work hard. That's all. We've had our ups and downs over the years, but we still made it.
Aw, couple goals. The couple is reaching more milestones together. Get this, Jerry just turned 100, and then husband John will turn 102 in December. 80 years together. And look at, they still keep date mornings. Date mornings. I love that.
Centenarians looking great. Well, on this day in 1957, Althea Gibson became the first black woman to win Wimbledon, receiving the trophy directly from Queen Elizabeth II. Gibson also won Wimbledon the following year. She won a total of 5 Wimbledon titles during her career, 2 in women's singles and 3 in women's doubles. After that remarkable run of accomplishments on the tennis court, Gibson became the first African-American to compete in the Women's Professional Golf Tour that started in 1960.
Our pet of the day comes to us from Purr Partners. Meet Destiny. She's an 18-month-old tortie. Her foster mom says she's a very shy girl who lived in the shadow of 2 very confident sisters. Destiny has come a long way in overcoming all that, seeking attention and becoming a lap cat. If you want to learn more about Destiny, go ahead and email the address on your screen.
Coming up today at 4, merger pushback. Wake County commissioners may have to make a decision soon about the deal between Wake Med and HM Health. That and more coming up today at noon at 4.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Have a great day.